Green Bay Packers get some good news despite the ugly performance we saw from them last night versus the Denver Broncos. I'm going to break that down for you guys in this video. If you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed, please take a moment if you like the content to hit that subscribe button. Okay, so let's jump into it. The good news the Packers receive is that not a lot of conclusion needs to be made from this performance because it is preseason and there are role players out there, not star players. We know what we've got in our star players offensively and defensively. The Packers look super solid and super good. But I heard someone liken to an insurance policy. The Packers, of course, got their foundation offensively and defensively out there. We know what we got, and it looks good. But the policy in our backups, in case somebody goes out, is what you really want to see. And Matt LaFleur did not like what he saw out there from, say, our policy that we're taking out on our backups. It just looked overall bad for the Packers last night. But there were some bright spots and there were some really disappointing things that I'm going to break down in this video. But first, let's take a look at the box score for the Packers and Broncos. 27-2 victory from the Broncos. Bo Nix looked super good, too good. In fact, out there, he shredded the Packers defense, making them look more like Swiss cheese. There was way too many holes out there defensively for the Packers. A lot of open in the center, which was kind of alarming to me. There was just way too much. Of course, not a lot of conclusion needs to be drawn from that. Again, like I mentioned earlier, because we're talking about some guys out there like Hopper that had not played yet on the Packers in live action. So again, the disappointment can only go so far, but Bo Nix looked super good. So if you're a Denver Bronco fan, you've got to be super geeked. 8 of 9 and a touchdown. He really should have had 2 touchdowns in this performance. The Broncos drove right down on the Green Bay defense back-to-back times and just really made them look like garbage. But offensively for the Packers, let's take a look at how their quarterback stayed. You had Sean Clifford going 6 of 10, 43 yards and an interception. I didn't think Sean Clifford looked that bad. I really didn't. I thought he threw a strike to Malik Heath on a deep pass, which was thrown, I thought, very well. Just through the fingertips of Malik Heath. That play could have gone either way. Some might argue that it was just slightly overthrown, but I thought it was a catchable ball for Malik Heath. Unfortunately, he didn't come up with it, but I thought Malik Heath had a good performance. Michael Pratt, 10 of 16, 52 yards. He looks good at times. You know, he had that fumble that he lost. But overall, I don't see a world that I've seen so far where Sean Clifford loses his number 2 position in Green Bay behind Jordan Love to make it known that that Michael Pratt slides into that position. Leave your comments. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Sean Clifford should lose his number 2 backup position to Jordan Love? From Michael Pratt. Have we seen enough out of Pratt? Pratt looks good. Pratt looks good. He looks like a guy that, just needs a little bit more time to develop, but I can see the potential there in Pratt, probably more so than Clifford, but it's just, I would hate to lose out on Clifford if, God forbid, anything happens to Jordan Love. I think Sean Clifford is just a little bit better to slide into that role and get some immediate results. But that's my opinion. Emmanuel Wilson, you know, he's looked good in preseason overall. In this particular performance, some good and some bad that we saw out of him. Again, your run game and your pass game can look only so good if you're not having anything block or anybody block up front for you. And the Packers really just offensive line looked, poor at times in this game. There were some bright spots though. I thought Kadeem Tolfert chased up a very poor performance against the Cleveland Browns, and I thought he looked really good in this Broncos game. I thought I saw a lot of good things out of him. He looked like Andre the Giant out there at times. The dude, they slid him from right tackle to left tackle. I actually thought he looked better at left tackle than he did at right tackle for the Packers. So that might be something they're considering. He can be, a guy that can swing both ways. So that's super good for the Packers. I thought Kadeem Tolfert looked pretty solid. Malik Heath, I thought looked pretty good in this performance. Again, running game didn't wow me at times. There was a couple of bright spots. I think Emmanuel Wilson, he had a long run of 15 yards in this performance. But again, not anything jumping off the charts there. 3 catches, 22 yards. He was targeted 6 times. I thought this dude looked pretty good. Samori Toure, I don't see a world where Samori Toure makes the 53-man roster. He's going to make the practice squad, in my opinion. Bo Melton, a little bit disappointing, targeted 3 times, 2 catches, 10 yards. He had that dropped deep pass, but that was just better coverage than it was a poor throw. I thought the throw was right on target. It couldn't really have been thrown any better from Sean Clifford, but that had to have been a one-handed grab. It was just better defended. So Bo Melton, I thought I was disappointed. I want to see more opportunities from him, but overall, the Packers got 26 run attempts to 26 pass attempts, a 50-50 split out there, but not enough on either side, really, for the Packers to put up any points in this particular game. Ben Sims, 1 catch, 10 yards, targeted 1 time. I thought Sims looked good. So let's take a look at the Packer depth chart when we start talking about tight end position here. Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, obviously that 1-2 punch for the Packers, which is a very solid 1-2 punch. Ben Sims looks like the clear number 3 favorite, in my opinion. Tyler Davis had a very disappointing performance. I thought he missed a lot of run blocking assignments. If you look closely at the game and look and see what Tyler Davis was not able to do out there, I thought he looked very disappointing. He obviously even had that offensive holding penalty, which backed them up and stalled the drive for the Packers. But I did not like the performance of Tyler Wilson out there. So that is about it. Grant DeBose, other than that, Grant DeBose targeted twice, didn't come up with a catch. So he wasn't able to chase up that very, very good performance versus the Browns. He wasn't able to chase that up with a good performance here. But again, it was only going to be so good with the pressure that the pass game was getting, and the lack of run support that we were able to get from our offensive line. Tyron Hopper, I wanted to see a little bit more out of this guy. Of course, not a lot of stock can be put into Hopper's performance out there because this is his preseason opener for him and his debut. So the good thing about Hopper, I thought, is that this dude, he wrapped up good. He was able to get out there and wrap up some tackles, something we're not used to seeing from some defenders out there. So I thought Hopper wrapped up very well, but he looked very poor in coverage. I thought his coverage skills, he looked confused out there at times, but that is to be expected from a rookie, especially when he's not had some live action out there. Defensively, you had Raylan Goforth, which had a concussion. He left the game from Stidham. Stidham 10-yard scamper into the end zone, and Goforth just bounced off of him. He tried to do a shoulder and head tackle onto Stidham, and he just bounced right off of him. So very poor performance from Goforth on that attempt to tackle in the end zone. That was disappointing for me. Brenton Cox Jr. was the bright spot on defense. He ended up having that sack, and then he chased that up with a forced interception, putting some pressure on the quarterback. I thought Brenton Cox Jr. Was able to showcase why the Packers like him so much. And the dude looks good. I really think he's going to, when you take a look at the depth chart defensively for the Packers and where Brenton Cox falls on that, you have obviously your starter in Rashawn Gary. I'm sorry, I'm lost here for a second. You have Preston Smith. He's not on Gary's side. He's on Preston Smith, Lucas Van Ness, and then Brenton Cox. So that's a 1-2-3 punch out there for the Packers. And then you've got Kenny Clark, Devontae White, Kobe Wooden. I thought had a very bad performance in this game. If you watch, he was dominated by the offensive line of the Denver Broncos. So I thought Wooden had a very bad performance in this game. TJ Slayton and Brooks, obviously that 1-2 punch. Jonathan Ford is one of those guys that you did not even see. He played most of the game, and he wasn't able to put up a stat out there for the Packers. So Jonathan Ford, a very disappointing performance. I don't see a world where Ford makes this roster. I really don't. 53-man roster. I think Astor has a little bit of an edge up on this guy. I didn't think he looked good. So overall, I want you guys to leave your comments. Let me know your thoughts in this game. Again, not a lot of stock can be put in there. Not a lot of conclusions can be made from this particular performance. I was hoping to see a little bit of separation from our 2s and 3s, but nobody really solidified anything on this from this game. That is my take on it. Let me know your thoughts, and as always, go Pack Go.